flared at the end of Episode 1's main event. Carl Fredericks and Jeff Cobb collide. But what will happen on this week's edition of Lions Break Collision? See highlights from last week's debut episode of Lions Break Collision, tag team main event with Carl Fredericks getting the victory over Rocky Romero. And it was telling, I thought, at the end of the match, the way Carl reacted towards Jeff Cobb that caught my eye and everyone's eye. That's why I wanted to have Jeff on right now to speak to him personally about what happened last week. Jeff, it's great to see you. And before I ask you about last week with Carl Fredericks, we're deep in the heart of the New Japan Cup right now. It's going on, and you originally were supposed to compete in this year's tournament, but unfortunately not able to do it. How disappointing is that to you as you've been following along with the action?
Kevin, it's very heartbreaking that I'm not there competing for the New Japan Cup. Not just myself, but also the other guys that aren't in Japan that can't be there to witness it. But thank goodness for New Japan World. I get to watch it. I don't get up that early, but I do watch it later on in the day, and I get to watch it, and then it still brings a smile on my face. So I'm happy that it's still going on. But there's always 2021 and 2022, and down the line, whatever.
And on and on and on. One thing I'm sure that probably didn't bring a smile to your face was the way Carl Fredericks acted during last week's tag team main event. Great match and a surprising result. But during the match, coming over and striking you on the apron and shoving you away and so much, I don't know, just so much anger from this young man. And a lot of it was directed towards you. Why do you think that is?
I really don't know why he was targeting me. Throughout the whole match, it's just been disrespectful, not just to me, but to Rocky Romero too. Rocky's New Japan career speaks for itself. Myself included, being a former Never Open champion. I just assumed that Carl, just getting out of his young lion phase and trying to find himself, he's trying to make a name for himself, and myself and Rocky were on the end of that stick as you saw.
Where do we go from here now with you and Carl? Are you gonna speak to Shibata about this? Are you gonna speak to Carl personally about this? How are you going to handle this situation?
Kevin, I'm a man of very, very few words, and for me, my favorite motto is actions speak louder than words, and there's definitely going to be some retribution.
Well, we look forward to seeing what happens in the weeks to come here on Lions Break Collision. Jeff, I want to thank you so much for your time, and I want to wish you the best of luck, not just here on Lions Break Collision, but also when we get back to Japan and competing in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Can't wait to see what the future holds, my friend.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on, Kevin.
All right, that's Jeff Cobb, and our opening contest on this week's Lions Break Collision will take place right after this. Stay with us. Well, gentlemen, I wanted to get your thoughts about Jeff Cobb and what happened last week. We welcome everybody once again. We say hi and hello to Lions Break Collision on NJPWWorld.com, and let's get a match in the ring. Debuts galore here this week. Going to be a very, very exciting episode, and we will see what happens here in our opener. The DKC first to debut, and I'm joined by Chris Charlton and Gino Gambino. Gentlemen, yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu. I'm trying my best.
Right, one of the you'll try to get it right one of these years. Everything will be fine. So a veteran competitor in the squared circle, Russ Taylor, R-U-S-T Taylor. Don't forget the T, Gino.
I never forget the T.
Chris, what could you tell me about Russ Taylor?
16 years of pro, very, very accomplished, a lot of time under his belt, a lot of ring time under his belt. Obviously, very different being on the big stage at Lions Break Collision and New Japan Pro Wrestling.
And Gino, that obviously is something to factor as we get set to go here in just a few seconds. You know, again, you competed for a number of years. Then you got your first opportunity to compete in a New Japan event in Australia. Was that dramatically different for you? Was there a lot of added pressure?
You could have all this experience in the world, Kevin, but as soon as you're standing in that ring with that New Japan line mark, everything goes out the window. That's 16 years you can forget in a heartbeat.
And, of course, these two athletes are familiar with one another. They have competed against each other before. And they are, however, looking to open doors and open more eyes to what could be for them in the future. Again, the expansion of New Japan Pro Wrestling with the NJPW of America project is underway, and this is a part of that. Lions Break Collision, you'll have new episodes each Friday as Russ Taylor with a little cheap shot there along the ropes. And Chris, certainly as the New Japan Cup is quickly winding toward its conclusion, I'm sure athletes here competing on Lions Break Collision would love to have a future opportunity in New Japan Pro Wrestling events all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the world's been in a little bit of chaos this year, but crisis creates opportunity. It's going to create opportunity for both these guys. They've been through the LA Dojo camps in the past. And there you go, the takedown by Russ Taylor, a very accomplished jiu-jitsu and catch wrestler versus the karate of DKC.
And we'll see here how this match unfolds. Of course, later on in the hour, we will see a familiar face in TJP, who was part of the main event tag team matchup last week against the debuting Danny Limelight. But a quick thought, gentlemen. Gino, first to you. Obviously, Carl Fredericks was the takeaway from last week, not just getting the victory in the tag team match, his first as now a former Young Lion, but it was the attitude throughout and afterward that really caught me and a lot of people by surprise as the DKC takes Russ Taylor down. Your thoughts, Gino?
You know, I was thinking, is this new attitude going to be detrimental to Carl Fredericks? But it shows that now he's more of himself. It's no longer wearing black trunks and trying to fit a cookie cutter mold. Now he's his own person, and all of a sudden we're seeing fire in that belly. We're seeing a bit of attitude, a little bit of ego.
Well, there's some elements, of course, that you like, but there might be some elements that that folks may not like with Carl Fredericks. And Chris, the question that I had for you as Russ Taylor controls the left arm of the DKC is, will there be any pushback with Carl and his new attitude from, say, a Shibata? Hold on to that thought. We had a near fall right there. But Chris, is there, once you're graduate from the Young Lion, are you done? Is that it, or is there still some, responsibility to the senpai?
No, well, I think you saw a lot of Katsuyori Shibata in Carl Fredericks last week. You know, not just in his offense, those forearms in the corner, but in that attitude. And Shibata, he wrestled with a chip on his shoulder for the majority of his career. So, I think that's unintentionally showing through in Carl Fredericks, but maybe Shibata might give him a little bit of an attitude check. And look at the joint manipulation there by Russ Taylor. You're really seeing those catch roots from him.
And good escapability there for the DKC, using the legs to get back to the vertical base. And, of course, Shibata, just a fantastic career and has been a stellar trainer in Los Angeles. And obviously, Gino, when you've got somebody like Shibata watching over your shoulder, it could be, really motivational and really wanting to stand out.
That's all I hear, Kevin. Shibata, Shibata, Shibata. What's he ever done? Where has he been the last 3 years? Missing.
Oh, are you out here? Gino, just shut your microphone off. Go sit this
How
one
dare
out.
you?
He seems
What's
to be
Shibata
pretty
up? Who's he ever beat? You tell me, Chris, who's he ever beat? You're the historian.
Well, how much time we got?
Yeah, we could start how he was a fast rising star and was on the fast track, was one of the new Three Musketeers as Russ Taylor extends the DKC here and slams him to the mat.
Yeah, DKC was actually hand-chosen by Shibata to be part of Lions Break Collision. Impressed at a dojo tryout, but is really, really being worked over by Russ Taylor here. DKC stands for Dylan Kyle Cox, Gino, not Donkey Kong Country, as I heard you
I'm
saying,
glad
folks.
you cleared that up because I was just about to ask.
Yeah, you could just scratch that note off your format there. Boy, I tell you what, the Russ Taylor here does not. You don't just wake up and have a style like his. This is years of work, and he is really knowledgeable of the human anatomy and how to make things go in the direction they weren't meant to.
Well, then he should have been a doctor, Kevin.
Well, he's, mastering the anatomy of DKC here, and now finally an opportunity at the 5-minute mark. Shoulders down, just a 1 count. Want to thank everybody tuning in. Last week's debut of Lions Break Collision, and of course all the action of New Japan Pro Wrestling continuing on NJPW World as well. And the knee drop directly into the knee. He's got a little bit, Russ Taylor's got a little bit of a Kyle O'Reilly vibe to him. You know, it was a part of the junior heavyweight division. And his lanky frame, and now extending those kicks. Chris, when you get to see Russ Taylor like we are here for the first time, you got to be impressed as the DKC now starts to fire some shots back.
Yeah, absolutely. You're seeing certainly a difference in experience level, but DKC, those karate blows coming at him, and a nice takedown by DKC. Nice tiaras there.
And the drop kick puts Russ Taylor down. So Gino, when you went to wrestling school, did you study the anatomy the way that Russ Taylor does? Wait a minute, inside cradle here. 2.
You see,
You
Kevin,
seem to.
I'm self-taught. I didn't have to go to no school.
Self-taught. Oh, look at that.
That's going to be illegal, surely.
Swing and a miss. And now the single leg. Lift him up, take him over, put him down again. Same pinning combination and a near fall. So DKC is getting closer and closer to a pinfall later on, as we said. TJP versus Danny Limelight. We got more debuts coming up next week, including Mysterioso. And how about this name? Filthy Tom Lawler makes his debut right here next week. His New Japan Pro Wrestling debut on Lions Break Collision. And he'll be one-on-one against Rocky Romero.
Can't wait to see that. Just two, especially two masters of jiu-jitsu.
And now,
Look at that. He calls this the Gaia lock, tying up both the shoulders.
okay.
That
Might
can't
be
be
an
good.
environmentalist, but
Yes,
that's not
indeed.
good for DKC.
He can't tap out. He had to verbally submit. All right, so, gentlemen, I'm impressed. I like Russ Taylor. I thought DKC did well, but boy, Russ Taylor has a style and a confidence about him. I think that could serve him well. What do you guys think? Gino?
I think you could use a haircut, Kevin. It's ridiculous.
Come on. Chris, I'll go to you for some semblance of, common sense here.
We
Sanity.
saw the benefit of 16 years pro experience in Russ Taylor, and definitely you see the technical acumen in that man. Could be a future for him in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Could be a future indeed. We'll hear from Russ Taylor coming up in just moments, and then TJP takes on Danny Limelight. Don't you go anywhere, because Lions Break Collision continues.
15, 16 years, I've been tearing it up around this industry, around the world. I'm an intrepid traveler, and I've deepened my soul. New Japan Pro Wrestling, you have the best wrestlers in the world, but you don't have Russ Taylor, and that's what you lack. I'm here now. I'm in that ring right now, and you're going to see the best wrestling in the world now. Because you see, you do have some of the best wrestlers in the world, but without that word some, that sentence isn't quite complete, I don't think, because you are not having the California boy, this West Coast man. Get that West Coast style mixed with my catch wrestling. I don't care who you are, if you're Zack Sabre Jr., I don't care if you're Okada, I don't care if you're Katsuyori Shibata. I want to prove myself, and I will. See you soon.
What'd you up to? Oh, I'm checking out new merch on Talking Chuck Global.
Oh yeah, they put out new products like
Every month.
I just got a t-shirt.
I got a beautiful towel.
I just got boxers.
Oh yeah? I'm wearing them right now.
I just ordered a mask. Good, the sooner the better, because I don't want to see your ugly face. I love Talking Chuck Global.
I as well.
The stars of today and the legends of the past come together on your smartphone. NJPW Collection. Pick up cards from special draft events. Use your collected cards to form your own faction or exchange them for limited edition special cards. Check in live from venues or remotely from home to get special tickets and items. Add all of New Japan Pro Wrestling to your collection now. NJPW Collection.
The following contest is tonight's main event with a 20-minute time limit.
Big debut next week on Lions Break Collision. Filthy Tom Lawler, MMA veteran and pro wrestling star, makes his Lions Break Collision debut in the main event of next week's broadcast against Rocky Romero, and another debut right here with Danny Limelight. Military background. Let's see if he's ready to go to war here in our main event. He'll be giving up a tremendous amount of experience as he takes on TJP.
Standing 5 foot 8 inches tall, 175 pounds, Danny Limelight.
So Chris, give me a little background. Give the fans at home a little background on Danny Limelight.
It's 5 years of pro for Danny Limelight. So yeah, as you said, giving up that edge to TJP, but a former Marine, a former drill sergeant in the Marines, and picked up wrestling in his spare time from doing all of that stuff in the Marines. So he's learned a lot of close quarters, hand-to-hand combat in the military, and then when he got into pro wrestling, learned a lot of lucha libre as well. So you're going to see this really fascinating mix of submission wrestling with a lot of high flying, and look out for the symbiote DDT from Danny Limelight.
And very much the same type of style for TJP, but he has traveled the world in professional wrestling, and we will see what happens here in our main event.
His opponent is the red corner, the Villain Flash, TJP.
And Chris, I do want to correct you on one thing. When you serve in the Marine Corps like Danny Limelight did that we're looking at there, you're never a former Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. And that's what somebody who's seen real combat, somebody who's seen real action in the military, Gino, looks like.
Just like the underboss Tox Farley, both veterans of the Army. I'm very impressed so far. A real war hero. Salute him, Kevin.
I'll salute him, sure. Collar and elbow tie-up to begin here in our main event. Lions Break Collision, new episodes each and every week right here on NJPWWorld.com. And referee calling for a break and gets one there. Gino, your favorite referee, back in action again tonight.
Senior official Jerome, big fan.
It's not his name, it's Jeremy Marcus, but nevertheless. Chris, when we talked earlier on about Carl Fredericks, and TJP, of course, was the tag team partner. Some have even said that Carl may have inadvertently, perhaps not, dissed TJP, it seemed like Carl wanted all the focus of that victory to be on him, not on the team. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Certainly it was TJP trying to settle things after that match, but certainly Carl wanted his hand raised. And yeah, I mean, Carl Fredericks, to be fair to him, he had to make a statement in a very different situation in Lions Break Collision to perhaps what he's been used to in wrestling in New Japan events prior. But definitely that attitude, that new attitude from Carl Fredericks is going to be a talking point in the weeks to come.
We will see Carl Fredericks next week in tag team action, teaming with Clark Connors against the debuting Mysterioso, Lions Break Collision debut, and the DKC we saw in our opener. So obviously, both Carl and Jeff Cobb were focused on the New Japan Cup and did not get to compete. In fact, both spoke to me about feeling frustrated, and obviously Carl, Gino, was going to take on Kenta in the first round in a match that would have been very, very personal for Carl Fredericks.
Look, I'm a big fan of Carl's attitude and ego, but I tell you now, you don't want to poke the bear of Kenta. That's not a good idea. Okay, you want to maybe help your friend Shibata, but Kenta's not the right way to do it. Might end your career very early.
And Chris, I don't know if, has Carl poked the bear of Jeff Cobb, if you will?
That's a big damn bear to poke. And, Jeff Cobb's a hard man to get angry. But, once he's mad, then he's dangerous. I'm sure that's an issue that
when I did the interview with Carl, that was one thing with Jeff that I certainly noticed is how aggravated he was as TJP puts Danny Limelight down with the shoulder tackle. I sense a very confident TJP here, but Danny Limelight with a great escape there and takes TJP down. But very quickly, the veteran right back in control.
You see very similar styles, as we mentioned, between TJP and Danny Limelight. And a sort of classical LA Dojo approach from Danny Limelight. Actually impressed Rocky Romero enough on one of the dojo camps that Rocky was handling that he got the invite here to Lions Break Collision.
I tell you, there have been wrestlers from all over who have come to Los Angeles throughout the past year or so and have had the opportunity to train and learn as Danny Limelight takes TJP over and now springboarding face first. Down goes TJP. But a veteran move there by TJP as he rolled out of the ring. Oh, Gino!
That was smart.
Right out of your playbook.
I was going to say smart wrestling by TJP, getting out of the ring as quick as he can. Danny Limelight, flashy. He did. He stole that from Gino's move 1013.
Well, I was, highlighting more of TJP's, rolling out of the ring in the veteran move. But, listen, an aerial Gino Gambino might not be a bad thing. I would like to see that.
Jumbo jets can fly, Kevin.
Limelight now stops in the corner, catches TJP. TJP is having a hard time slowing down Danny Limelight, but has just done so by dropping across the top strand and the drop kick right into the torso. That frees Danny Limelight from the top rope, and now gives TJP some time to recover. That amazing dive by Limelight over the top rope. He landed all sorts of different ways on top of the veteran TJP, who now sends Limelight off the rope, steps right in and connects with the elbow.
I think it's right, Kevin. These people that are wrestling here in these Lions breaks as we get a close pinfall need to impress. They need to want to have a future in wrestling, and this is their time to show it.
Yeah, but you're seeing, I think, in just a little bit of hesitation here or there, some of the nerves of Danny Limelight, and TJP is very used to high-pressured scenarios, made it to the quarterfinal of the Super J Cup last year, would have gotten further, Gino, if ELP hadn't punched him in the nuts.
How dare you bring up things like that?
And the boot rake there, obviously, yes. El Phantasmo created all kinds of controversy in last year's Super J Cup, too. And I think that very, very soon, El Phantasmo will be creating controversy. It could be back in New Japan. It could be here. It could be in Southern California. We'll have to wait and see. Now, the vertical suplex. Pop the hips, maintain control, and take him up. No, Limelight with a different idea in mind. How about that drop kick? Nicely done. Floats over, lateral press, and a 2 count. Obviously, the world of professional wrestling is talking about Lions Break Collision and the debut next week of Tom Lawler one-on-one against Rocky Romero. Everyone is placing their bets to see what happens when Tom Lawler takes on Rocky next week. Nice Russian leg sweep with the head trapped into the submission, Chris.
Yeah, perfectly well done. You're going to see, I bet, a lot of submission work between Tom Lawler and Rocky Romero. Don't think Rocky Romero is a tremendous entertainer, but being raised in the original Antonio Inoki LA dojo has taught him a great deal of submission. And, we'll see that come into play next week in our main event.
Gino, we do see the athletes that have competed here so far in Lions Break Collision. They really have a lot of different disciplines under their belt. They bring a lot of different styles to the ring.
I think that's, hold on 1 second, as TJP goes for a pin again, yeah.
Uh-oh!
What do you say?
But you're right, Kevin, it's
on
great
the
to
face
see.
of Danny Limelight. Oh, my goodness.
A mix of different styles. I think that's the most exciting thing about this Lions Break. We're seeing so many different wrestlers from all walks of life.
And now walking TJP's shoulders up. Jeremy Marcus counts 2. TJP has to let go of the submission hold for fear of getting pinned. Obviously, a victory here by Danny Limelight would put his career on an entirely different trajectory. Drop toe hold. And now, TJP, Chris, very familiar move.
Bridge over into his version of the Muta lock there. Stretching on Danny Limelight. He's got a call on his own close quarters submission prowess. We'll try and make the ropes.
Limelight with just a very elementary move there and was able to negate the pressure, but not going over the shoulder for Lavonda Strong, but instead, my God!
He's ripped his shoulder out of the socket, my God!
Oh my goodness, Danny Limelight, his night's over. No, he kicks out. My goodness. Well, the Marine, the former drill instructor, is going to have to reach down deep if he has any hope of making it through this one. Limelight trying to create some distance, needs a little bit of time, but TJP not letting go and not stopping the offense here. Chris, the Irish whip into the corner.
Oh, took that turnbuckle hard as well, but Limelight, there you go, nice kick, trying to create that distance again, now going up.
Walking down the second rope to the top. How about that flying forearm?
That is impressive.
We mentioned ELP before, and it seemed like he took a page out of El Phantasmo's book, walking down the second rope for that unique springboard. Steps in and delivers the clothesline. TJP bounces back up, gets caught half and half. And now Limelight sets and delivers a crunching shot. Shin bone knee, caught it all and nearly got the victory.
That was 2.
Obviously, if there were fans in attendance, they would be rocking and rolling right now, no doubt about it. But obviously the empty arena setting, because of everything that's going on in the world, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Lions Break Collision, very aware.
Look at that. Oh, he was going for symbiote. He got caught. TJP might be thinking damnation.
And now Limelight walks top again. Got it. Has he done it? Huge upset 2. No. TJP kicks out.
10 minutes has elapsed.
And at the
10 minutes.
at the 10-minute mark, just to finish my thought, all these athletes, of course, have gone through COVID-19 testing and temperature checks and maintaining social distancing backstage. Every precaution that is, of course, completely normal, and everybody's following the rules as Limelight is walking to the top. And TJP there to greet him, Gino.
And TJP showing his experience there. Catching Limelight, oh my! And a superplex from the top and hangs on.
And a brainbuster. Dropped him solid. Now TJP to the top rope. And let's see if he can land it. Yes, he can. 2, it's over. Chris, that was a big-time impressive victory.
Absolutely, against a very game Danny Limelight, where it was a big step up into New Japan Pro Wrestling and into Lions Break Collision. We saw that difference in experience. TJP, super effective shoulder work, super effective limb work, and then that huge splash for the win.
Gino, quickly, obviously some flashes shown by Danny Limelight. Did you like what you saw?
To be honest, I did. Overly impressive. Just like the underboss, a war hero with all the heart, and he came out and showed it tonight.
So TJP will be continuing on in Lions Break Collision. We'll see him in a couple of weeks. Boy, I'll tell you what, 2 weeks' time, a huge episode of Lions Break Collision. You definitely don't want to miss that. But TJP gets the victory here, and we will, of course, look forward to next week and another huge episode, the return of Carl Fredericks in tag team action, the debut of Mysterioso as well. But the main event, everybody's talking about it, Filthy Tom Lawler versus Rocky Romero. For Chris Charlton and Gino Gambino, I'm Kevin Kelly. We'll see you next week. Lions Break Collision.
LA Dojo week, baby. LA Dojo picking up victories left and right, whether it's me, Carl Fredericks, my boy Clark, Alex, we're all representing here, and that's what LA Dojo does from generation to generation to generation. But I had a freeway series today, me and Danny Limelight. Now, this ain't the first time that me and Danny Limelight stepped in the ring, and I'll be honest with myself. You know, I may not be undefeated, but I have won more than I lost. And tonight I didn't lose. I didn't come all this way to lose, and tonight I didn't do that. But Danny Limelight's the future. He's got tools that I haven't pulled out of my bag in 15 years, maybe even more than that. Dave Marquez is behind the camera. He knows how old this fool is. Today, Danny almost caught me, but today wasn't his day. Next time he might. And Danny, anytime you want, we'll run it back. New York to LA, LA to New York, we'll do it. Thank you for today.
So a big episode full of debuts and some very impressive new faces on the scene here at Lions Break Collision. Next week, a huge debut. Filthy Tom Lawler makes his New Japan Pro Wrestling debut. From the world of mixed martial arts to pro wrestling, Filthy Tom Lawler one-on-one versus Rocky Romero, plus Carl Fredericks will be here in tag team action. And we'll see what happens, see if there's any more fireworks between he and Jeff Cobb. That's next week right here, Lions Break Collision. For Chris Charlton and Gino Gambino, I'm Kevin Kelly. See you next week right here, NJPWWorld.com.